So hey everybody, welcome back to Bow and Arrow Garage. So today I'm going to be working on the C3 Corvette, and once again my main goal is going to be to install the fuel tank. So if you watched the last video, that was my main objective in that video, but obviously I had the issue with the fuel tank sending unit, and so I wasn't able to install it. So I did get another one on order, and as long as this thing fits, we should be able to move forward with the tank installation. So without any further ado, I'm going to jump right into it, and we'll see if we can get this thing installed. Okay, so this is the new sending unit. It is a TAN-GML. I assume the GM stands for General Motors. L, I'm not sure. But it's a 90 ohm sender, so as long as it fits in the tank, it should be okay. So go ahead and give it a test fit, and we'll see what she says. So on this sender, you have this upper bracket that my thumb is touching, and then you have this lower bracket. So I guess this can be used in tanks up to, from what I'm measuring, up to about 18 inches, because this rheostat is basically the center of your tank. So basically at the furthest location, this is 9 inches, so you would double that. So basically for my tank, I'm going to end up deleting this lower bracket. So I've got to pull these two mounting screws out here, and then move this thing up, and then I'll end up having to trim this bracket, and then I'll have to trim the float arm also. But I'm going to go ahead and get this apart, and then we'll move on from there. So this is the lower mount bracket that it has you take out. And so because my tank is 9.5 inches, I want this screw here to be at about 4.5 inches, but then it says to add 1/8 of an inch for the gasket. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take this wire off, and then I'll rewrap it later on and tighten it. But I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. That way I can get this adjusted exactly the way I want it, and then I'll go from there. Okay guys, there's the final product. See the float, it's attached. You got the stop there, and then the stop over here on the other side. I measured the total throw. It's 9 inches, a little under 9 inches, which is basically perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing installed, and we're going to call it good. unfortunately, I'm not going to be working on the C3, at least not a whole lot. So what I determined to do is, if you remember a few videos back, I talked about the transmission on my wife's Tahoe going out, and how I was thinking about actually doing a chassis swap on my C10 using the Tahoe chassis. But my wife and I discussed it, and what we decided is we were going to go ahead and just fix the car for right now. We have a teenage son that's going to be driving pretty soon, and we're going to need another vehicle for him to drive. And so we're looking at some different things, and on my C10 I really want to do like a complete restoration on it, and so I'm going to need a vehicle to drive. That is my daily driver to work, and so I'm going to need a vehicle to drive in the interim. So anyway, so we're going to go ahead and fix this thing. So today I'm going to go ahead and pull out the transmission. As soon as I get the transmission out, I'm going to jump back on the C3. I've got everything I need basically for the fuel tank installation, and I've been anxious to get that thing in, but I just haven't had time the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and jump on this Tahoe, get this transmission out, get it over to a friend of mine who's going to rebuild it for me, and then I'll jump on the C3. All right, so this is the kind of angle I'm going to take from it. I've got the back end up on ramps, got the front end blocked. I'm going to go ahead and jump under the car first, and I'm going to get the transmission fluid drained, and we'll pull the pan off and drain the fluid. Then I'll come over here, disconnect the battery, pull the starter off, pull the drive shaft out, and then I'll start working on the actual transmission removal. Well guys, I finally got all the bolts out of the exhaust, and when I say finally, I started working on it at 10 o'clock this morning, and it is about 4:15 right now in the afternoon, and I just now got the last bolts out. I have a little cut in my eye and a bruised eye socket bone. I have a fat lip, and this is kind of indicative of what I went through to get these bolts out. As you can see, that bolt is just hammered. I actually had to use bolt extractor or nut extractor sockets to get them out. They were just extremely tight, and I don't think it was from corrosion. I think it was just they were probably put on with an impact, and man, they were so tight, it was just unbelievable. I didn't record any of it. It was just so frustrating. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in there now. I'm going to go ahead and get this transmission pan dropped, get the transmission fluid out, and then get that cross member out, get the exhaust out, and then I can actually start working on getting this thing out. So anyways, like I said, it's been a day already, so here we go. I'm pulling the transmission cross member out. I'm not really ready to do it in a way because I wanted to pull all the bell housing bolts and stuff out, but they're really difficult to get to with the exhaust in, and I can't pull the exhaust out without pulling the transmission cross member. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull this thing out, get it out of the way, and then get this exhaust out of the way. Me and this exhaust have personal issues right now, so I'm not very happy with it. But get this thing out of my way, that way I can go ahead and try to get this transmission out tonight. I don't know why they put such long bolts in this transmission cross member. Things are like a mile long. All right, well, I got the transmission over to my friend. He's going to go ahead and rebuild it for me. He's just doing it on the side, so he said it should be a couple of weeks. But in the interim, I want to jump back on the C3. I don't know how much I'm going to get done on it today. To be honest with you, I'm pretty worn out. That transmission job was pretty fun. But anyways, I'm going to see what I can get done here. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put a weather pack connector on the pump, the fuel pump. And so we'll go ahead and move forward with that, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I'm going to seriously have to get me a better soldering iron. It took way too long to solder this, but you see I've got the one heat shrunk already. I'm going to go ahead and slide the heat shrink up on this one and shrink it. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I wanted to put this QD connector just so that I could quickly disconnect the tank if I have to drop it for some reason. So anyways, that's that. I'm going to go ahead and shrink this thing down, and then we'll move on. All right, the final thing I want to do is just test for continuity. right, so we're good. And there was no reason why we shouldn't be, but I always try to test it when I do this. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and install these fuel fittings on the pressure or the supply and the return. I'm using this 59214 Permatex thread sealer. It says it's good for fuel, so we will see. All right, I've got two 5-foot sections of this 3/8 SI diameter fuel line that was supplied by Tanks Inc. So it's got the push-on fittings. I'm gonna have to figure out how those actually attach to the ends of the lines. And I'm gonna leave the other ends open for now. 5 feet is probably a little excessive, but I wanted to give myself enough. I've got to figure out where I'm gonna locate the filter regulator, and then I'll go from there. But I want to get these hooked up. I'll have to go buy some line for the vent, and then figure out how I'm going to hook up the sending unit wiring. And then from there on, I'm going to move forward and try to get this thing installed. But let me figure these things out real quick, and then I'll get them assembled, and then we'll go from there. Okay guys, what I'm looking at here is this. It looks like what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to have my lines coming over here as well as my vent. And then I'm going to have my wires for my sender coming, my ground and my supply. And they're all going to come over here and come down along this side. And they're going to come up inside this frame rail right here. And I apologize for the bad lighting. But they're going to come up through here and come up around the tank. And then I'm looking at, so you can see a reference to the filter, the filler, and coming straight down, and I'm looking at maybe mounting the filter regulator right here. I haven't definitely decided that yet, but that's what I'm kind of leaning toward. So anyways, that is looking like it's probably going to be the best bet. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the fittings on the end of the two lines that are going to go to the filter regulator. I'm going to get those on the tank, and then I'm going to go ahead and probably make up 2 wires for my signal and my ground on my sender. And I'm just going to kind of mock up everything that I do. I'm going to end up having to take the tank back out, but I think I'm going to try to get it installed today, just temporarily. It's going to have to come back out. That's all there is to it, but at least I can get it up there. I can get everything kind of lined up, make sure my filler cap is going to work, and we can go from there. So I was looking at the best way to do these twist lock hoses, and came up with a lot of people were having difficulty with them. And basically, one guy said the easiest way he found to do it is to boil the hose. And so I had to go and buy a pan because my wife wouldn't let me use hers. And so I'm going to go try this out and see what happens. I guess we will find out here in a minute. All right, guys, I'm going to try this trick out, and we'll see how this thing works. I don't know exactly how long we're supposed to keep it in the water. I'm going to get it for about 30 seconds. let's try this out. Ouch, it's hot. And I would say those came out fantastic. So that's exactly what we wanted to see. You can see the ridges. So let it cool off. Watch the water behind you, son, so you don't get scalded. And we'll call that good. Okay, so here is the setup that I'm going to go with. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing temporarily installed. And then we'll kind of go from there. I'm not going to really figure out today where I'm going to mount the regulator. I think I just want to get this thing up installed and take a look at it, see what it looks like, make sure I'm happy with everything, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I made a lot of progress this weekend. I got the transmission out of the Tahoe. That was a major task, and I got it over to my friend's house, and he's going to start working on it. Said it'd probably be a couple of weeks. He's got a few in front of me. But he said he was going to get to it as quickly as possible. So as soon as that comes back in, we'll go ahead and get it reinstalled in the Tahoe. And the main reason I did that is because I know I had talked about using the Tahoe chassis on the C10, but I decided to go a different direction because I'm going to do a major restoration on the C10, and I'm going to need a daily driver. So I'm going to use the Tahoe as my daily driver. And it gives my wife a little more comfort, I guess, having another vehicle that'll fit the whole family. Yeah, we have the new truck, but you never know. And so I'm going to move forward with that. We'll get that thing going, and then as soon as I start driving that, we're going to jump into the C10 restoration also. But that's going to be kind of a slow process because the main goal is to get the C3 going, and it's got a long ways to go. I made a lot of progress. It didn't really seem like it in this video, but we got the fuel tank fitted, and the filler cap fits perfectly. So that was one thing I was kind of concerned about. I made every effort to put it back in the original location, but man, it came out perfect. So I'm really, really happy with that. And then I started mocking up the fuel lines. I'm really, really happy with the way it came out as far as those switch lock fittings, bowling them. I don't think it'll have any detrimental effects on the longevity of the hose. And man, they went on perfect. So I'm glad I found that little tip on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. It actually helps a lot. And so the other thing is I kind of got an idea of where I'm going with my fuel filter regulator, and then it'll just be a matter of routing the line up to the engine compartment. So I made a lot of progress today. It just, but right now this is you know, 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but it's coming together. So I'm really, really excited about it. So the next thing is the fuel tank's going to come back out. I'm going to get that whole compartment completely cleaned up, probably painted. It looks pretty bad in certain areas. And then I'll get the fuel filter regulator mocked up. And man, once we get that going, we are really, really moving forward. So anyways, I want to say thank you for watching the video. Today is actually the day before Easter Sunday, so I want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Thanks for watching again. Have a great night, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.